What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Go TV. Today we have a little bit different project. A few weeks ago I was out at the big box store actually buying stuff for the deck I rebuilt, and I always have a tendency to run past the dumpster in the back, and they always put some interesting stuff out there. So a few weeks ago I found this pressure washer, this Ryobi pressure washer. It had a Honda motor on it, and I was just sitting in the dumpster, so I grabbed it. Apparently somebody tried to work on it, didn't know what they were doing, and just figured they couldn't fix it, and they just tossed it in a dumpster, and yours truly came by and rescued it. And I'll show you what they did. So apparently there's a vertical pump under it, and that's where your water source goes into and your pressure washer gun attaches to. But for some reason, whoever was working on it had decided they had to take it apart for some reason. Just so you know, these are sealed. These are permanently sealed. They're not really meant to take apart. They're actually just meant to replace once they go bad. But you could see here that they just broke all the nuts and everything. I don't know if you could see that with the camera. All the nuts and everything were just basically snapped off. They figured they couldn't get it out, so they just tossed it. And for $73 with free shipping on Amazon, you could just buy a new one of these and replace it. So that's what we're going to do today. So this is the new one. It's a Pegasus pump, and it ran about $73 and from Amazon, and the shipping was free. And as you can see, it's all sealed permanently. These aren't meant to be taken apart. These are just meant to be replaced. But it's almost the same exact setup. Got the pressure relief opening here, and it seems like everything else is pretty much the same. You can see that. It's got the nozzle for the fixture for the soap dispenser. So let's put it in. Put a little gas in it and see if it cranks up, and see if we could pump some water through it. So one thing we wanted to make sure is this motor actually runs freely, and there's nothing seized with the motor, which seems pretty good. I mean, it's a Honda motor. These things are really meant to take a beating, and they're really meant to last. And I don't see any issues with this. This is the key that is. Looks like it's kind of stuck there, and I'm going to not take it off if I don't have to, because then I'd have to kind of maneuver it and hold it while I'm getting the vertical pump slid onto here. But what I will do is I'm going to take a little grease and just put a little grease on here. I don't have any anti-seize, but a little dab of grease will be fine in there, and it'll keep the pump from actually welding to this spindle here. But let me get a little bit of grease and put a little grease on there. So one of the first things we want to do is we want to take this pressure relief valve off of here. And then we want to run a little plumber's Teflon tape on here. So when you're putting this tape on, you always wrap it the opposite the way it turns. So this is going to turn right, so we want to wrap it left. So when you turn it right, it actually it doesn't bunch up in it, and it follows the your turning direction. And you want to make sure that hole is free and clear, just in case I don't want to clog it up. A lot of these units don't come with the pressure relief valve, and sometimes you have to pull the old one out, but this one happened to come with it. I also like to put a little bit of grease in here to keep it from seizing together, and just in case you ever have to replace it again down the road, this will come off nice and easy, and then you could just replace it with the other one. I think what we have to do is the key has to face the back, and if we can get this to line up with the back as well, I think these mounting brackets will line up with the bottom of the engine, but let's give that a shot. I'm gonna just slide a little block of wood under here just to keep everything into place. All right, so far that looks pretty good. Hopefully my bolts will line up. Oh yeah, look at that. So there are 3 bolts on this. There's 2 in the back, and there's 1 in the front. This is where it gets a little tight. When you bolt these in, guys, just do a little bit at a time on each bolt, so it goes up the shaft even. And I'm just going to go around and just tighten them all up now, all the way. Now this particular model has a soap dispenser on it, so we're going to do a little thing right here on the pump that will suck in the soap. Let's give it a little pull just to make sure. It's got great compression. Right, so we're gonna give this thing a little test shot. We'll put a little oil in it, put a little gas in it, crank it up, tie it to the hose, and see how she works. All right, guys, so we got the pressure washer gun attached to this. We also have the water attached to this. One thing you always want to make sure is before you start your pressure washer, always make sure your water's on, because the pump relies on the water to keep it cool. And if you run it without the water being in, you can actually damage your pump, and it may end up in the dumpster for me to find and repair. So let's make sure we don't do that. So the fuel is on, choke is on, and I'm going to turn it on. Let's give it a couple pulls and see what happens. Now, granted, I haven't started this actually I've never started it since I picked it up a couple months ago. So it's going to be the first time I'm ever starting it. These Honda motors are pretty good, very reliable. They take a beating and they last a long time. So let's see if it holds true. Not bad. So there you have it. This thing actually works pretty good. The pump is really good. Highly recommended. Easy to put on. One of the other things we're going to do is we're going to find a way to be able to hook the gun to it. the original setup was it had a plate here, and it had all the different nozzles, and there was a hook here for the gun. So unfortunately, whoever dumped this took all the nozzles and took the plate that belonged here off. Probably used it for something else. So we'll come up with something for here to hold the gun in place, and I think this project can go to bed. So I was rummaging through my garage to see what I had to try to make a hook, or something to rest the handle on, and I found a couple things. Found this little plastic thing. It looked like it may have been a leg for something. I don't know what it was, but I was thinking maybe of drilling a hole all the way through and putting it through. Then I'm thinking, okay, well, it's plastic. This will eventually maybe break or snap or whatever. So I nixed that idea, and then I found an L bracket, which would probably be a lot stronger and a lot better to use. So what I'll do is I'll find my holes on the side of the frame, drill a couple holes in there, and probably bend this and put like a little hook in it, so the gun locks in there and it doesn't, if you're moving it or transporting it, doesn't fly out. So let's get started on that. I think it's a pretty good idea. First thing I want to do is I want to bend it. I want to find out where I want to put it on the unit, and see how the gun fits, and see how much of a bend I need to accommodate the handle from going on there. And then I'll probably just paint it black. All right, so I got the gun attached to this. I'm gonna actually remove the rest of this hose out, get it out of the way, and get rid of this thing. So basically I want this to kind of fit. Maybe something like that. So that's where I'm going to mark it. And then, actually I should have done that. Let's get this back in here. All right, so there's my holes, and let me see where I want to bend it. Probably something a little comfortable, which would be like right about there. So pretty much right between the screw holes that are on the other side of it. So I'll bend it that way. I got my holes marked there. So let's give this a bend. I'll make sure it's in the vise, nice and square. And try bending it by hand first. They're a little crooked, but we can fix that. So we'll clean this up a little bit. I'm going to put a little light sandpaper on there, and we'll spray that. I'm going to spray paint it black, let it dry, and that way, meanwhile, we can drill the holes to the frame where this is going to go onto. I cleaned up that L bracket and shot a little paint on it. I'll let that dry, and I'll put another coat on it. So I want to punch a couple holes in here, so help me drill into a round surface pretty, well, not pretty easy, but easier. Let's see. Let me get the screws, and let me just get those threaded in there. So I got a couple screws here. Hopefully these will work out. Yeah, these will be fine. Be a little snug, which is what we want. May put a little thread lock on these just to keep them from vibrating loose, because the machine vibrates a lot. And if I had a longer bolt with a nut on the end, I would probably run it right through and do it that way, but I don't have that. And well, maybe I do somewhere, but I don't feel like looking for it. So this is going to be the way I go for now. There you go. Looks like it was meant to work with it. All right, guys, there you have it. How to change a vertical pressure washer pump on a Ryobi 190cc pressure washer. I hope this was informative. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. I'd appreciate a like and share. And hope you come back and see me again.